Hey YouTube, here's Heiko coming to you with a project. I haven't done videos in a little while, was too busy at work, flight training, annual check ride, all that other stuff. And yeah, now I have finally some time to dig in my front yard again. We've been owning a house here in Nevada for about 3 years, and the only part of the house and yard that we haven't really touched is the front yard. When we first bought it, this whole front yard was completely overgrown with juniper, and we're here in a fire danger zone for wildfires, so they all recommend to get rid of juniper bushes because they are pretty much fuel for fire, burns really hot and fast. And so 2 years ago we had that all removed, and so we pretty much have a blank canvas here in the front. The last 2 years I've just been trying to keep the weeds down. We have a couple mature trees here in the front, which is kind of nice, so we don't have to really mess with those. Of course, a little bit of pruning and shaping and whatnot, but so I now finally got around to trying to establish some lawn here in the front, just because, you know, there's too much space. I don't really know what to do with all that space, and lawn, easy to maintain, you know, run the lawnmower over it once a week and it always kind of looks presentable. The rest is going to get some shrubs and bushes and whatnot. My wife has some flowers right along the house, and in our front yard we have a lot of asphalt. It's pretty bad shape, really expensive to repair. We had a asphalt company come out and give us a quote. It's like 10 grand to get our driveway asphalted, repaved, and I was like, yeah, let's skip that for now. We'll see, maybe we win the lottery and then we're gonna do that. So today I want to show you really only one thing, which is using Blacktop patch made by Saccrete to fix gaps or openings in your asphalt. It's a product that Home Depot and Lowe's sell. And a lot of people are disappointed the quality and ease of use of that product. I find it actually pretty easy to use as long as you follow a couple rules, and we'll get to the details a little later. So now I'm just gonna switch around cameras here, and then I will show you why I'm actually using Blacktop patch to fix my driveway. And it has to do with landscaping, so you will see here in a second. Okay guys, I'm gonna switch around, guys. So now you don't have to look at my face with my landscaper outfit. Here are my sprinkler slash drip irrigation valves in the box down there. I built that all myself. I always build it in a way that I can remove the valves out of the box over winter, take them into the garage. Also the lines, as you can see down there, they always have drain valves. I could just put a cheap PVC ball valve in there. In the winter time I can open up those valves and let the water out of each line. Then you see a what is it called, a pressure vacuum brake, a siphon, anti-siphon device. This is preventing water from the irrigation system to be siphoned back into the water line, into your, you know, tap water line. That is kind of code. Here in this case is specifically very important. So in most cases people try to tie their irrigation line into the water main before the water main even enters the house. That's where you have the most volume and the most pressure. Here in our case, that wasn't possible. For whatever reason, our water main enters the house in the backyard. Now we are here in the front yard, and I had no access to the water main. And in any direction here on our property, we have asphalt, more asphalt. We have tons of retaining walls. We have a driveway here that's kind of like a few feet down, as you can see, and the water main starts over there. That's where the shutoff valve is. runs that way under a couple retaining walls behind the house and enters the house. And I needed water there. So I was not going to cut up everything and dig trenches across my entire yard to get water to, first of all, my wife's flowers and the trees that are already there, my little freshly planted lawn. As you can see, there's a little green carpet coming out. Yeah, so it seems like I'm pretty successful with planting my lawn. If I keep that up, it's gonna be all good. So it's, you know, it's not manicured lawn, it's just, you know, this little patch here in the front yard, unlandscaped, lots of weeds, and once you have a lawn there, you just mow it, you know. Anyways, so what I ended up doing, I ended up tying into a water line in our crawl space that goes to one of our little half bath. So one of our bedrooms has a half bath. I had access to a cold water line down there in the crawl space. Unfortunately, it's only 1/2 inch size water line down there, so the volume is definitely not the biggest. Pressure is good here at this end of the house, and this half bath is not really used very often, so our irrigation is definitely not interfering with a shower or whatever. So I drilled a hole through the foundation wall, and now I already have to find my power cord for my camera here, or else we're going to be dying here pretty soon. Let's see, guys, if we can do this all on the fly here. All right. All right, so let's see if we can continue. So since I ran the water line out of the house, out of the crawl space, through a foundation wall, and then tied it into a irrigation system which has 3 zones. So one valve is, you know, you can see those filters here. Those lines are with a pressure regulator or pressure reducer to 30 psi for drip irrigation, and then the third one's down there is for sprinkler full line pressure. So because I tied it into a house water line, I had to put a anti-siphon device in there. Did that properly with union so I can remove this whole thing in the winter, put a plug in there and take it down into the garage, keep it from freezing up. That's kind of my main concern. Then put my drip lines in here. For the last 2 years we've already planted some flowers and lots of weeds also, unfortunately. This year is all mint. This stuff really, if you have an area where you just don't know what to plant, just put some mint there. It's spreading like nothing else. It's like a ground cover almost. So anyways, and so now I had all those 3 water lines here, but I had to get it across a driveway. Here in this section, I already had a nice straight, almost straight crack through all my asphalt. So I decided to run all my water lines under here. Got my chalk line out, snapped parallel chalk lines that are about 14 inches apart, just wide enough apart to pretty much eliminate the crack that was in the asphalt. So the crack wasn't running exactly straight, it was like zigzagging. So I made it wide enough to cut off both sides and get rid of this crack. Then I dug a trench, then I put a 3-inch ABS pipe in there, and I ran poly pipe for the drip line, for the drip system, and a 100 psi flexible pipe. It's called Blue Lock. They sell that at Home Depot, through this ABS pipe. So the ABS pipe is pretty much my conduit. It's protecting the 3 water lines. And then since I have a box over here, a box over there, and here on this side, it's relatively easy to dig up my water lines. I have a conduit all the way from here over to the other side, and so if I ever have a water leak, problems with those pipes, I can still pull them out of the conduit and shove a new one in, so I don't have to dig this up again. So 3-inch pipe, then the 3 smaller pipes in that ABS pipe. Put it in here, filled it up with DG, because you don't want to have rocks against a water line. Then I watered it so the material settles, tamped it down, and now I'm in the process of repairing the opening here in the asphalt so my wife can drive over it again. And now we're coming to the actual DIY project that we're doing today. As you can see, I've already filled halfway through this area here with Blacktop patch made by Saccrete, and now I'm gonna put my camera on a tripod and get my gloves and my knife, and then I'm gonna show you how I do this. I mean, of course, it's not gonna be as durable as asphalt that's put down by a real paving machine, but it is definitely a viable option for a driveway for repairs like this. Or, you know, let's say you have a section where it's like spiderweb cracking, you just cut that out, remove it, and then repair it with this product. It's really doable, and I will explain what kind of the rules of engagement are, you know, so what you have to keep in mind to kind of have a decent outcome out of this project. So I'm gonna switch over camera location and put my gloves on, and then we're gonna meet up again. See you soon. All right, guys, I'm back. Let's talk about a few things that you need to do to have a successful repair with one of those DIY products at Home Depot, Blacktop patch. Of course, it's not very comfortable to do outdoor landscaping, construction, that kind of stuff during really hot weather days, but that's the only time of year that you can really successfully use this asphalt stuff, because the warmer it is, the more pliable and easy to work with it is. And then you always see construction workers wearing long sleeve shirt and having hard heads on, and they put some neck cover, you know, bandanas on or whatnot. Why do they do that? Because they're smart. If you are working outside landscaping, you don't want to be hours out in the sun and having your skin fried by the UV ray. So today I'm a bad example. I have a short sleeve t-shirt on, but I always wear one of those silly straw heads, gives protection for your neck. Wear some solid work gloves. I like leather because it's breathable, you don't get sweaty hands in there. All the other ones that, you know, nitrile coated, they just give you sweaty hands and then your skin is all drying up and all that. So leather gloves are perfect. I have a pair of old cowboy boots on, you know, gives enough protection from the environment. You don't get you know, all the dirt and whatnot into your tennis shoes while you're working out here. So this is all perfect. Pair of old jeans, they always get ripped up. I mean, I go through those pretty quickly because I'm always constantly working on stuff. So now let's get back to the actual repair here. So I've already done a section, and instead of finishing it up and then have my wife drive over it, and then you get a lot of indentations and areas where the tires just push down this material, I fix this and then let it sit for a couple of days in the sun, in the heat, hot summer days, so that this material can settle. You can also walk up and down on it just to put some weight on it. You know, I'm about 190 pounds, and I try to compact it as much as possible and then let it sit for a few days. I did the same thing with a prepped area here with a DG. So let's get this out of the way. So just tamping it down with a with this little contraption here, with this little guy, until you can't get it any hotter, and then just let it sit. Water down the DG a little bit, wait until it's dry again, and do it again. Just give yourself some time. Don't try to pull a project off in 24 hours. Just give it a week, you know. Take breaks in between. I know we will always have a busy lifestyle. We want to get stuff done, but to kind of get a successful outcome of this project and a relatively decent result, you have to give yourself some time, just because the materials we're using here are not professional grade, unfortunately. So I filled this gap up, I tamped it down like as hard as I can, I walked on it, and now it's still sitting in the sun. And as I walk over this, I can feel that it is still soft. So I try to keep this all clean. I don't get sand, gravel, dirt on that. So I can fill up little voids. I can make it better. I can fill in spots. And now I'm just going to show you how I did this. So my bags, I don't know if you can even see this. Oh yeah, you see the yellow bags over there. A couple hand tools that I use is this little 8x8 temper. Now let me show you the rest. An old garden rake that's just about the right width. It's the width of the skep here, 14 inches, and a flat shovel. Not the pointy type, but the flat, so you can kind of scrape with it. And now let's get to it. All right, bag one. Oh yeah, and you also need a sharp knife. So you get one of those bags. I always make sure that I don't have, like, you know, unfortunately it's pretty windy here in Gardnerville, Nevada. So you get a little bit of some leaves and stuff, but I don't think it's really going to ruin anything. So a sharp knife, just cut this bag open. They have been sitting out in the sun all morning. It's now 1 p.m. This stuff is nice and goopy and warm. You can see it already falls out of the bag just by itself. And then grab it. It's a 60-pound bag, so it's not exactly lightweight, but it's doable. Dump it out, and as you can see, it's almost steaming. Smells just like the asphalt that the machine puts out, and it kind of like crumbles apart. And now I just use my little garden rake and spread it out over my crack here. You want to pile it into this gap about, let's say, an inch, inch and a half, maybe 2 inches higher than the surface here. So you have a little bit of some material that you can tamp down with your little 8x8 temper here. I was going to ask a friend for a plate compactor. If you have access to one of those, maybe rent one at Home Depot or a rental place in your town. That's definitely a good idea, because it compacts this faster, quicker. You can finish it up probably in a day. I just didn't go through the trouble. So anyways, pile it up 1.5 inches, 2 inches high, and then start temping. Compact it in there, stuff it into that opening as well as you can. Just push it down, push it in there, and then you can also walk on it, because I'm definitely heavier than my little 8x8 inch temper here. Stuff it in. And then you can always make corrections. This stuff doesn't solidify until it really has gotten a couple of warm and cold cycles. So you can scrape the edges, shove that back on there, do that on both sides. And if you have slight indentation, just like I have here, you can, you know, pull some material over and then put it in there and then start temping again. Sometimes material gets stuck to the temper at the bottom, and then I just use my flat shovel and scrape it off and then keep going. You can also once in a while just turn it a little bit so that the material comes off. And in this warm weather, all the material, the already existing and the new stuff, sticks together really well because both is pretty warm. Just like that. Okay, let's keep going. Next bag. Short knife. It's a good workout. Whew. Make sure you do stuff out of your knees, not out of your back. Be gentle with your back. Don't hurt yourself. One of those factory 60-pound Blacktop patch repair bags is about $10 or $11, depending on where you live, which retailer you're buying that from. Like you can see, since it's so nice and warm, it's really very pliable. You can spread it out pretty nicely, rake it around, and like I said, it's better to do it on a really warm day. You're going to be sweating a little more, but it gives you the chance to fill in little depressions, imperfections, rake it straight and flat, and scrape it with your shovel, and temp it flat, and then just let it sit for a day or two. And then if you want to make sure that your shoes or your kids' shoes or your pet paws don't get stuck to it anymore, just put some sand over it. That kind of takes up the gooiness, and then it's really just like normal asphalt. You can also buy a bottle of crack sealer, and on the edges of your repaired section you just fill up the gap with some crack sealer. That's usually an asphalt latex mix out of a bottle. They also sell that at Home Depot to kind of finish it off. And then if you want to go a step further, you buy yourself a 5-gallon bucket of a seal coat, asphalt seal coat, to kind of give the old asphalt and the new asphalt the same color. And then your project is pretty much completed. And like I said, pick a nice warm day. It really helps out the material. As you can see, it's actually pretty quick process. Probably need another 3-4 bags, and then I'm done here. You guys get the idea. So don't overwork yourself, don't get too hot, drink a lot of water, and protect yourself from the sun. And I hope this video will help someone who is in the process of doing some asphalt repair. All right guys, have a good one.